Whoa, when you look at this graphic right here, there's a whole lot of information and numbers on there, but let's focus on the numbers in the upper left-hand corner. 824 total data compromises in the first quarter of this year alone, impacting at least 91 million people. To give us some context behind all these numbers is James Lee, the Chief Operating Officer of the Identity Theft Resource Center. So James, one of the main things that I noticed in the graphic is that the data breaches or compromises are in a wide variety of industries. It seems like there's just no getting around it.
No, there really isn't at this point. We made a big jump a couple of years ago, almost doubling the number of compromises in a single year back in 2022 into 2023. And that was for a variety of reasons. And now we've stayed at that level. We were up at a little over 3,200. And we've stayed there now for the second year. And we're on the same pace this year to be in that very same neighborhood. Maybe we'll be a little above, maybe we'll be a little below, but we're still in that 3,200 range.
So, I mean, this year we had like financial companies, we had hospitals, we had schools get hacked, places that people sometimes don't think of actually being a target.
Education is an interesting one. We've seen that before being high, not the highest, but high, but it was tended to be colleges and universities where the people who are most impacted were either the faculty or if they were students, they were already adults. Now what we're seeing are schools, public schools, private schools, all the way down to pre-K, K through 6, middle school, high school. We're seeing those kinds of schools and the organizations that provide services to them being attacked.
All right, so that kind of makes me think of the whole Power School data breach that we had in our state. In fact, in our area, Winston-Salem, Forsyth County Schools said around 150,000 current and former students were impacted, along with nearly 30,000 staff members. What can you talk to us about that?
We think of somewhere between 70 and 90 million students impacted, but not every school puts the same kind of information into that system. So it's hard to say how many had their social security numbers, their health information, their disciplinary information, things that could be very long lasting. We don't know how many people were actually impacted to that degree, but we do know that kids now are being targeted in ways they never have been historically.
And that's scary for all parents. So on that note, let's talk about why kids are being targeted and how scammers are actually using their information.
A child's social security number is very valuable because it's clean. It's never been used before. It hasn't been used to acquire credit. It hasn't been used to get a job. It hasn't been used to accumulate social security credits. So ultimately you can get social security benefits at some point. Those social security numbers have never been used. So if an identity criminal can steal that and then turn around and either sell it or use it, it's very, very valuable.
All right, that's why you got to put a freeze on your child's credit, right? So let's talk about future technology and how that could maybe help decrease some of these breaches from happening.
But when we move to some of these newer technologies like mobile driver's license, digital ID, a digital social security card, which is in the works, a digital passport that is in the works, and being able to verify your identity based on your face, not facial recognition, facial verification. When it's an important kind of transaction, we can significantly reduce the amount of fraud, so the financial impact, but also that emotional impact we were talking about, because the bad guys don't have my face. When they walk into the bank, when they walk into that government agency where I'm going to apply for a benefit, when I go to get my passport, they don't have my face.
Well, thank you for your time and your expertise. If you missed any of this interview, you can find it in the Two Wants to Know section of our website.